I am going live in my robe again. Oh no, I think a different one of these I was in my pajamas. Obviously the sun is on my face. Maybe you can hear the hum of the pellet stove next to me. I have coffee. I have journaling that I was doing. And I had a really cool realization that I sat down to write about. Realized that I wanted to just video about it. This was a workbook from the book B. And I don't know how to say this woman's name because I'm terrible at pronouncing last names. Jessica Zweig, maybe? I'm the worst. So here's what happened that I thought was so interesting. The first page of the workbook is very simple. It asks the question, like, what's been your biggest personal challenge? And I wrote my abortion. I think that's my biggest personal challenge. I had a whole like tons of notes that came out after this. But when I got up, I was like, okay, you're done journaling. Go take a shower, get ready for your first client. I went, wait a second. What about today is December 8th. My son turns 9 on December 10th, which is Saturday. So I could still cry thinking about it. So I spent 17 weeks on bed rest when I was pregnant with him. I wasn't in a hospital. I was in and out of a lot of doctor's offices. No one could figure out what was wrong with me until somebody finally prescribed antibiotics, and it got me like enough energy to be able to deliver him. And after he came, the problem pretty much resolved itself. I fell in love with him. I fell in love with our family. And we kind of moved on. Like, 17 weeks is a long fucking time to lay on a couch pregnant. I was not even taking care of my family. I wasn't making my kids breakfast in the morning. I wasn't cleaning. I wasn't cooking. I wasn't nothing. Like, I was out. I couldn't even visit with friends without feeling like a level of exhaustion I can't explain. So anyway, I was doing this work this morning, and when asked the question, what's been your biggest personal challenge, I wrote abortion. The next question was have you overcome it? I was like, yes. My God, yes. It's amazing. I've done amazing. And then she asked, what were the greatest lessons you learned? So easy for me to identify. Have my own back, open my perspective, soften into the gray area, choose love and compassion. Let it be messy, nuanced, complex, like not need clear answers. And the last question was zero in on the moral of that story. And the way I wrote it was nothing is too hard when you choose to be there for yourself. So that's beautiful. Great. I've created an entire platform of thoughts and ideas and coaching and teaching and workshops around this experience of having been through something very difficult, overcoming it, and intentionally learning from it, intentionally gathering lessons from it. And so that work this morning was amazing. But then I got up and I was like, wait a second, what about your bed rest? Like, what if you tried to answer these questions for that? Like, what has been your biggest personal challenge? What if I wrote 17 weeks of bed rest? And if I answered the question, have you overcome it? Like, yeah, I had a baby and moved on with my life. Did I? It's such an interesting situation where the circumstance of having a child in my arms was powerful enough to change my belief system, to change my mindset, to let me move on and let it go. I don't feel like there's like anything for me to work through around that. It was a time in my life that I overcame. When I try and answer the question, what was the greatest lesson you learned? Wait. Like as in wait for it to pass? I didn't learn anything because the circumstance changing, having him, is particularly in the way that I had him at home on my couch with my Christmas tree. Having him was a powerful enough circumstance change for me to not have to do the work. I didn't have to figure out what lessons I learned from it. I didn't have to figure out how I overcame it. I didn't have to think about it very much. I just moved on. I started taking care of an infant and taking care of my family again and taking care of myself again. And so when I ask what was the moral of that story, I got nothing. Maybe believe you'll get through it. Seek multiple answers. Go see another specialist. Yeah, there's a lot I did to get me through that. How would that whole situation have turned out differently had I had the mindset I have now? I don't know. I don't know if that would have been different if I had the tools in my life then that I have in my life now. Oh, the sun. I don't even know if you're going to... Well, I guess you'll be able to hear this video, but now I can see that I can see myself in the video. It was really bright sun. So what is the point of this video? I want to say that there are some things that happen in our lives that we just get through. We just get through. And there can be a powerful enough circumstance change that you move on and you never think about it again. For most people who find me through the experience of abortions, there is not a circumstance that is strong enough, big enough, powerful enough that it kind of transforms the experience in a way that you don't need to do the work. People who find me are usually have experienced abortion in a way that they want to figure out. This is what it is. This question, what was the greatest lesson you learned? I learned so much from my abortion. That was the circumstance. The learning, the growing, the showing up to myself, the figuring out new tools, the helping others. He turns 9 on Saturday. My abortion was 6 years ago. I didn't need to learn from my bed rest, even though it made me teary at the beginning. That was just circumstances. Wow, that really sucked. I didn't need to learn and grow the way I have with my abortion. It just changed. Things just changed. That can happen. Could I go back and extract out lessons from it that help me live my life? Yeah, sure. That's how some of you feel about abortions. It's like you just move on, or you recognize them as an opportunity that you can learn from, but you don't have to. It's like, just move on with your life. Other people like me, learning these things that I've learned, having my own back, opening my perspective, softening into the gray, choosing love and compassion, letting it be messy and nuanced and complex. It's been 6 years, not 6 years of me struggling after abortion. That was like really maybe a year, really tipping the scales at 3 years. I don't have any, like, I am fully healed. Like, there's no, I do this work because I know so many of you are struggling, not because I'm struggling. And I do this work because what I learn from it gives me the strength I need in other parts of my life. And so those of you listening who haven't had a circumstance that wipes the slate clean, so right, 17 weeks of bed rest, have a baby, wipes the slate clean. I can't really describe it a different way. It's kind of just what happened. Like, it just, new fresh start. Some of you have that with abortion. You're probably not watching this video, but you have an abortion, wipes the slate clean, new fresh start. I don't need to think about my abortion. I don't need to talk about my abortion. I don't need to process my abortions. I just move on. Great. Yay. That's amazing. That's what happened to me with bed rest. Others of you, whether it takes years, months, or years, or decades, doing this work, teasing out what are the lessons you learned, that is how you create the fresh, clean slate. It doesn't just happen. Some things in life, that fresh, clean slate just happens. And some things in life, you have to work for the fresh, clean slate. It's here for you to tease out these lessons. What are the greatest lessons you've learned? What is the moral of the story? And so the people who want to do that work, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for that. I'm not here for the people who wipe the slate clean, move on. I'm here for the people who are like, there's still more for me to learn here. There's a lesson here that I'm still teasing out. I'm still figuring out how to have my own back, how to open my perspective, how to soften into the gray. That's what the work of coaches and some therapists who show up to the work in a similar way to that I do. That is the work we do, is teaching you how to have your own back, how to open your perspective, how to let it be messy, how to let it be complex. Abortions for some people are the top of this page says, like, uncover your shit and your mess. Like, what was your mess? For some people, abortion is the mess that you can learn a lesson from. And for some people, it's not. So at this point, I feel like I'm just rambling. But I thought it was so interesting that when I stood up after doing this work, I was like, well, what about your bed rest? That was a major personal challenge. Why didn't you need to do this work then? Why did you just move on? What happened that you didn't become a coach for people on bed rest? Like, what? Why did having an abortion launch you into this, like, life work? Is like massive questions and experiences and thought leadership. And being on bed rest was just a shitty thing that happened for almost 4 months of your life, 3.5 months of your life. Because for some of us, certain circumstances in our lives are the thing that we know happened as a part of the greater whole. I do think my bed rest was a life reset in a lot of ways. It changed my career. It changed a lot of things for me. But I didn't have to do the work for those things to change. Like, I didn't have to show up to myself and what I believed for that change. It just happened. So maybe take a minute to reflect on what are the things in your life that happened and they were challenges and they did suck and you wouldn't wish them on anyone, but you moved on. Like, you kept going. You didn't need to work through it. It wasn't there for you to learn a lesson. And what are the things in your life, maybe abortions are one of them, where it's here for you to learn from. Like, it's here for you to change and evolve and grow. I would love to do that work with you. It's so funny. Sometimes I'm like, I have learned so much. There can't be anything else to learn around this topic of post-abortion healing, post-abortion mental health, post-abortion growth. And then sometimes I'm like, holy shit, this is just the beginning. There's so much more here. There's so much left to unpack and dissect and help people with. That's my sunny morning robe video. I'm going to go take a shower and get on my client calls for the day. Mwah.